So earlier today, a client and I were talking about how to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of life. And the pen is acting up. So I'm going to clear the hole. We're having technical difficulties. Like we said, the ups and downs of life show us how we tend to deal. So we know that it's easy to be happy when we're happy, easy to be sad when we're sad, easy to be happy when things go our way, and easy to be upset when we don't get our way. And so if we consider life to be a series of ups and downs, then we're keeping score. We're saying me, and we're saying life. And we say, okay, I won that time. Oh, but life won that time. I won that time, but life won that time. And so we have a competition between us and life when we think we're being dominated. And if we're concerned about being dominated, then it's a battle. And we don't know who's going to win. But actually, we do, because life always wins. We will die. On the other hand, if life is not just ups and downs, but it can also be left and right, then we have a very different picture. And we go in a different trajectory. We may be going up, we may be going down, but whether we're going left or we're going right doesn't really matter at that point, because it's just lefts and rights, not ups and downs. If we think of all the vibes in our life, whether it's electromagnetic frequency, whether it's sound vibrations, whether it's the harmonics in music, or the vibes, whether someone has good vibes or bad vibes, whether it's the cardiopulmonary system, whether it's the central nervous system. Vibrations are actually what everything is. Even at the bottom of the nucleus, we find that the proton is actually a bunch of vibrations more than physical matter. So E equals mc squared. That means that energy and matter are related to each other by the speed of light. And so there is tremendous energy trapped, or how can we put it, synonymous with matter. All of that is to say, practically speaking, for our lives, we usually hold a kind of comfort zone. And outside of it is the growth zone. We consider this to be like winning, and we consider this to be like failing. And so we have ups and downs, and they actually happen on the edge of our comfort zone. And we know that failing, even though we don't like failing, we want to take the wins, we want to take the victories. They're actually part of the same process, going out of our comfort zone into the losses, and then coming back in stronger with a victory following it up. Going out of our comfort zone with our failure and coming in stronger with our wins. And so by doing that, we actually grow our capacity. We have a new comfort zone now, eventually. And then if we want, we can work at the edge of that comfort zone. And you can see this in principle never has to stop. There is no reason that you can't get bigger and bigger across 4 of the 5 domains of life. Whereas your physical body will inevitably have a trajectory that goes from age 0 to, I hope, age 100, with your peak somewhere in the middle. There's no reason that the products of your financial life, the products of your mental life, the products of your social life can't actually continue beyond your death. So there's no reason in principle for you to keep pushing your comfort zone out further and further. This is like a colonization or an occupation of your greatest potential. And if you notice, what you have to do is to actually change your sideways to an upwards, change your ups and downs waves to left and right waves, which lets you go from your current orbit into a new orbit. Whether that's a physical, emotional, mental, financial, or social orbit that you're talking about. Like we said, the physical orbit has its limits. Those are constraints by the first law of thermodynamics. That no matter or energy can be created or destroyed. Okay, that's the physical. But there's no reason in principle that the emotional, mental, financial, and social lives cannot continue to expand tangentially from any given orbit you find yourself in. In this case, the orbits are synonymous with power states. How much physical power do you have? How much emotional power? Mental, financial, and social power. How much of these powers do you have? How much power? And people actually try to think this is like a confusing question or a question that like is a black box that has no answers. That's false, because what you can tolerate, what you can endure, what you can withstand is the measure of your power. And that's why your emotional power can actually grow. Your mental power can grow, etc. Financial and social. Your power in all of these domains can grow, but only by being used. By using your emotional power, which means to go outside of your emotional comfort zone, and to use your mental power, which means to intentionally fail. These are all investments. Investments means losing temporarily on a bet of future greatness or just more. So the last bit of this is to find out how to make this process actually fun. How can we make going out of your comfort zone into what's ostensibly the wilderness, into something unknown, uncertain? It's outside of the comfort zone, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, financial, social. It's outside of what you know you can handle. That's here. What you know you can handle is your comfort zone. Out here, you don't know if you can handle it or not. So you just dip your toe out, dip your toe, dip your toe, dip your toe, and eventually you find out you actually can handle it, and you establish a new center of gravity. But to do that, you actually had to welcome failures. You had to be okay with ups and downs, and to be okay with ups and downs means to treat them like lefts and rights. So you go tangential, you change the direction from going in this direction, you go in this direction. So that's a pivot. When you're in your routine, that's great. You're comfortable, you're just going through your day. Every day is like every other day. Every day is like every other day. Then you bump into something. Something happens and you're like knocked off course. You're knocked off course. So now you have your routine, but then boom, you're knocked off course. Maybe you resume your routine, but boom, you're knocked off course again. And then at some point, you're doing your routine and you think, boom, you're bumped off course. What else is out there? I keep getting bumped off course. Maybe I'll just run with it and see if there is something else. And a new routine gets built. A new routine gets built if it worked for you. If this pivot from your normal trajectory, when you were bumped off course, that is the point of education. Education is an inconvenience truth. Education knocks you around. Especially your intuitions. The things that you think are correct, the ways that you know you're living your life, and the principles on which you're founding all of your behavior, your morality, your judgments of others, get knocked for a loop when you get educated. That's the definition of a good education. And education is supposed to make you more powerful. It's supposed to make you bigger. And the only way it does that is if it turns your thoughts of right and wrong around. So that eventually you maybe even lose your sense of right and wrong for a new one. You're willing to go sideways, willing to look bad, willing to fail. Because you're going from one way of being to another way of being to another way of being.